Readthrough.com is proud to present A Mind Forever Voyaging. If you can look into the seeds of time, and say which grain will grow and which will not, speak then unto me. William Shakespeare. The truth of a theory is in your mind, not in your eyes. Albert Einstein. Bayed Inn. Exterior suburban street, day. It is an idyllic landscape, a peaceful residential street typical of middle-class suburbs all over America. The afternoon sun streams through the autumnal leaves of the trees lining the sidewalk. A perfect scene. Superimposed title, The Very Near Future. Number 1985 Maple Drive is like any other house on its block, a well-to-do family home. The flawlessly manicured front lawn is bordered by a porch complete with swing, and a white picket fence. A station wagon is parked in the driveway. The front door opens to reveal Madeline Sim, 42. She fumbles in her bag for her keys as she steps out onto the driveway.
Kids. Come on, let's go.
From the door there now comes Jason Sim, 11 years old, a kid who's seen his fair share of scrapes and mischief. He conducts a battle between two action figures as he walks.
Where's your brother?
Jason just shrugs, preoccupied with his toys. Madeline looks back to the house, at the open front door.
Perry. Get moving or we'll be late.
Finally there emerges Perry Sim, 3 years his brother's junior and on first impression a quieter, more angelic kid. Superimposed title, 8 years of age. Madeline corrals the two kids into the car and drives off. Interior station wagon, day. Jason sits up front with his mom. They both sing playfully along with a Britney Spears-style pop song on the radio.
You might think you're the greatest.
You might think you're so hot.
You might
but
think
baby,
you're
I'm
so
here
hot.
to tell ya, bam.
But baby, I'm
I know
here
you're
to
not.
tell ya. Bam. I know you're not.
They mimic the sassy finger wave motion that undoubtedly features in the music video, and continue singing along. Perry is belted in back, gazing thoughtfully at the rust-colored leaves on the trees as they pass by outside.
Perry. Come on, sing along with us.
He can't sing. He sucks.
Jason. Don't talk about your brother like that. Perry, you have a beautiful singing voice.
Thanks, Mom.
He seems disengaged, more interested in his own thoughts. Exterior Macy's, parking lot, dusk. The frontage of the huge department store is adorned with Christmas decorations. A large electronic banner reads, "Only 23 shopping days left." Interior Macy's, evening. It's a cattle market, the aisles packed with holiday shoppers. Generic Christmas music plays. Madeline fights her way through the crowds, loaded down with shopping bags, her 2 children in tow. She stops to set down her bags and consult a shopping list on her handheld PDA. Jason fidgets impatiently, while Perry's attention is on something at one of the electronics counters.
Okay. What's next? I still have to get something for your father.
You already got him like 3 things.
And I already got you more than that. Should I stop shopping for you, too?
That shuts Jason up.
Okay, we'll go by the cosmetics counter to get him that cologne I like. I mean, the cologne he likes.
You promised me I could get the new Skydiver disc.
Jason, you can't always put yourself first.
I'm not. But the game store is going to be sold out. Can't we just go there first? Please?
Oh, all right. Perry, come along.
Perry doesn't hear, lost in fascination with one of the gadgets on display. It's a video cube, a futuristic mini-TV. Madeline picks up her bags and moves off, Jason following.
You two stay close behind me.
Jason looks back to see Perry still at the counter, unaware that he and his mother are leaving him behind.
Yeah, Mom. We're right behind you.
And they disappear into the crowd. After a few moments Perry drifts out of his reverie and looks away from the video cube, to where his mother and brother should be. He sees nothing but passing strangers.
Mom?
He scans the crowd, the first gut-wrenching waves of panic just moments away. He steps forward. And now he's lost in the crowd, being jostled this way and that, still frantically searching for a familiar face.
Mom? Mom?
Then he sees her, just a few feet ahead of him, walking away. He rushes to her, grabs her sleeve and tugs on it. She turns, it's not her, just somebody who looked like her from behind. Perry backs away, disheartened, confused. He stands in the aisle as people continue to drift past him as though he's invisible. His lip trembles and he begins to cry. Then an adult hand touches him on the shoulder.
Got ourselves lost, did we?
Interior Macy's, security office, night. An expansive, sparsely furnished office lit by a buzzing strip of bright, antiseptic fluorescent light. The security guard has his feet up on his desk, reading a trashy novel. Perry sits on a chair across the room, the tears drying on his face as the wall clock ticks off the passing seconds. The door opens and Madeline rushes in, anxious and distraught. Jason ambles in behind her, uninterested.
Perry. Where have you been?
She rushes to him as he jumps down from the chair, sweeps him up in her embrace. Her eyes fill with tears. Then she holds him tight by the shoulders and looks at him angrily.
What have I told you about getting lost in a public place? What have I told you 100 times?
Perry bites his lip, mumbles.
Stay exactly where I am, don't wander off trying to find you.
Yes. And what did you do? You went wandering off, didn't you?
I'm sorry, Mom.
She embraces him again, tighter than before. Exterior University campus, day. A sprawling assemblage of high-tech buildings set across a splendid lawn. The sign at the entrance reads, Infocom Systems Institute, Richard W. Ryder, founder. Interior University, classroom, day. Students watch with rapt attention as Professor Abraham Perelman, a sprightly 55, carves an elegant stream of light with a handheld laser wand into an electronic chalkboard. He writes at a furious pace, the beam of light barely able to keep up as his hand dashes across the glowing board. He finishes with a flourish and turns away, reading aloud to the students as they copy the words into their notebooks.
It is not in space that I must seek my dignity, but by the control of my thought. In space, the universe encompasses me. In thought, I encompass the universe. Blaise Pascal. Why, you may ask, are you writing down the words of a dead Frenchman? Because aside from a few minor things like founding probability theory and inventing the digital calculator 300 years before its time, he also understood the one fundamental truth that I will attempt to teach you on this course, that as mathematicians we are also, essentially, philosophers.
He looks at his watch.
Okay, that's enough for today. Go do whatever it is you people do.
As the students file out, they pass another professor on his way into the room. ASEJH Randu, Indian, mid-30s.
Hey, what are you doing here? Don't you have a lecture?
The guy from Ryder's office is here.
The new guy? I thought that wasn't until 3.
He's here now.
Perelman gathers up his books and papers, annoyed.
Jesus. You'd think these people would know how we work here by now. What if the system was down? I mean, we could be running maintenance, we could have an emergency. They think they can just show up whenever they like.
Randu follows Perelman out into the hall.
So long as they're writing the checks, I imagine that's exactly what they think. Just remember to smile.
What am I, a performing monkey? I don't smile for these idiots.
Interior University, entrance hall, day. A handsome young man, David Fullerton, late 20s, dressed in an impeccable suit, waits in the hall. He looks like some kind of Wall Street banker or other hotshot power broker. Perelman approaches the young man, smiling broadly.
Hello. You must be.
They shake hands as Perelman searches for the name.
David Fullerton.
Right. Of course. Abraham Perelman. Pleasure to meet you. Although we weren't expecting you until...
Yes, I know. I have to be back in DC by 10, so I caught an earlier flight. I figured you guys wouldn't mind if I just dropped in.
The corner of Perelman's smile twitches just a little.
Of course not. We always have time for Senator Ryder.
Interior University, hallway, day. Fullerton follows Perelman through the hallway.
So, you're the new guy?
Yes, I started in the senator's office last month. Policy advisor. So far it's been fascinating. The senator's a brilliant mind, he has some very aggressive ideas.
Oh, you don't know the half of it. Now, I presume you've signed all the non-disclosure agreements? Because otherwise there's a whole thing we have to do with paperwork, before I can take you down.
Yes, the senator has them.
Excellent. So how much do you know about the project?
I've been briefed on the basics, read most of the materials. But the senator said that I really needed to come down here and see it for myself to believe it.
Well, he's right about that.
Perriman unlocks the door to his office and they enter. Interior University, Perriman's office, day. Perriman dumps his books and papers on his desk.
Just give me one moment to check my email before we head down.
Sure.
Fullerton busies himself surveying the diplomas and photographs lining the walls. There are certificates and plaques from MIT, Caltech and other prestigious institutions. There's also a family portrait, a much younger Perriman, his wife, and 2 young children, a son and a daughter.
Your family.
Perriman looks up from his computer screen.
What? Oh, yes.
Beautiful kids.
Yes, they were.
Fullerton doesn't understand. Perriman smiles thinly.
I guess you didn't read all the materials yet.
Perriman logs off his computer and stands.
Shall we?
There is another door here, a heavy reinforced steel one with an electronic keypad. Perriman types in a code and the door opens, revealing an elevator. Perriman motions to Fullerton, who steps cautiously inside. Perriman follows him in. Interior elevator. Perriman and Fullerton wait as the elevator descends.
We're all very proud of the Institute. In the past 12 years it's become one of the most prestigious technical colleges in the country. And of course it looks great for the senator. But the real work goes on down here.
Fullerton nods. The elevator continues to descend.
When they were installing this elevator they asked me if I wanted them to pipe in music. I asked them if they wanted me to beat them to death with my laptop.
The elevator arrives. Perriman and Fullerton step out into Interior Computer Lab. The lab is absolutely state-of-the-art. Various technicians work at terminals and monitor giant supercomputers. The walls, ceilings and floors are stark white, pristine. Randu is here, supervising several technicians.
This is the control area. From here we can monitor the system and update its program. It requires constant maintenance 24/7, so we have more than 50 programmers who are dedicated to that task alone. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This way, please.
Perriman walks through the lab, Fullerton in tow.
I'd like you to meet Dr. Rasij Randu, Associate Project Director.
Quite a setup you've got here, Doctor.
Oh, you haven't seen anything yet.
Right this way.
Perriman leads Fullerton onward. A couple of technicians converge on Randu.
Is Abe showing that guy around?
Some new suit from Ryder's office.
Is he going to do the spiel?
It'd be a first if he didn't.
I love it when he does the spiel.
A small group of technicians follows Perriman and Fullerton. Perriman stops at another reinforced door, goes through the security procedure. It slides open with a swoosh, to reveal interior gangway. A metal gangway walled on both sides by dark, opaque glass which runs from the ceiling to a point some distance below. Perriman steps out onto the gangway. Fullerton gingerly follows, holding onto the handrails. It's disorienting. The technicians are close behind, watching Perriman expectantly. Perriman pauses for a moment, takes a deep breath.
Here he goes.
In 1856 the English mathematician Charles Babbage invented the analytical engine, the predecessor to all modern computers, the world's first thinking machine. Today, more than 150 years later, we stand on the verge of creating the world's first thinking, feeling machine.
Perriman walks up and down the gangway, hands flourishing as he speaks. This is a well-rehearsed routine. The technicians look on in amusement.
The past 30 years has seen countless attempts to create an artificial intelligence, a computer that can accurately mimic the thoughts and emotions of a human being. They all failed. Why? Because that is precisely all they did, mimic. The true spark of intelligence, the ability to view a problem heuristically, with what you might call gut instinct, was missing. The approach was always misguided, based in each case on the lack of understanding that the computer and the human mind function in fundamentally different ways. My contention has long been that the goal should not be to create a computer that thinks like a human does, but a computer that thinks as a human does.
Perriman walks toward a small control panel set into the handrail. His finger hovers over a button.
For the past decade we at Infocom have been working toward that goal, to create a prototype reasoning, intelligent, sentient machine. Or as we prefer to call it around here, PRISM.
He presses the button. Down below, a spotlight on the other side of the smoked glass flickers on, illuminating a supercomputer mainframe, about the size of 2 refrigerators. Fullerton peers over the handrail at the computer. It doesn't look that impressive. Perelman smiles.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can never remember how these lights work.
He presses another button, and now all the other lights come on, revealing thousands more mainframes extending into the distance. Fullerton is awed. He spins around. The scene is the same through the other window. Thousands more computers extending seemingly into infinity.
My God.
Future generations will no doubt look back upon Prism as an amazingly primitive machine, much as we're amused by the first computers, with their vacuum tubes and transistors, today. It has, after all, taken us a space only marginally smaller than Central Park to build a machine that Mother Nature can squeeze into the size of a cantaloupe. But for right now, Prism is by far the most advanced supercomputer ever created, and undoubtedly the first of its kind. Let's take a closer look.
Perelman opens a door set into the glass wall, beyond which is a stairway leading down to the computer floor. Interior Prism complex. Perelman heads down the stairs, Fullerton, still in awe, following close behind.
Just how fast is it?
Prism's base operating speed is a little over 800 quingajillion calculations per second, roughly 90,000 times faster than any other supercomputer anywhere in the world. But I'd hate for you to miss the point. It's not the speed at which Prism thinks that is critical, but rather how it thinks.
They arrive at the bottom of the stairs. They are now deep within the heart of Prism, surrounded by the huge mainframes, which emit a strangely hypnotic humming sound.
The emotional dimension. That's what makes the difference. Any computer can coldly manipulate information. The only real progress in computer science in the 20th century was to build machines that could do so faster and faster. Now we have something genuinely new. A machine that can not only process information with blinding speed, but manipulate and react to it in ways that only a human could before, with empathy, with genuine understanding. When you consider the speed at which Prism processes data coupled with its ability to analyze that data within a truly human emotional context, the incredible potential of this application becomes clear.
Fullerton stares at Perelman blankly.
Doesn't it?
I'm afraid you've lost me.
Oh, well, perfectly understandable. Prism was designed and built for a single purpose, what we call pre-deliberative societal modeling.
Perelman studies a monitor set into one of the Prism mainframes, watches data stream by with interest.
There have been numerous efforts in recent years to use computers to study how societies might evolve when faced with change. Again, they all failed. Again, a fundamental misunderstanding. Computers as we know them are wonderful for predicting changes in complex systems, but throw such a chaotic variable as human behavior into the mix, and they're worse than hopeless. Computers don't think like people do, so how can they possibly be expected to predict how people might react to change?
Fullerton follows intently. He's starting to get it.
Unless, of course, that computer itself had a true understanding of human behavior, of the infinitely rich tapestry that is human emotion. Then you might just be able to do some really cool stuff. For example, let's say the murder rate in California is spiraling out of control, so the governor considers reinstating the death penalty. Will it be an effective deterrent? Who can say? Who could possibly predict something like that?
Perelman taps Prism's casing proudly.
This baby can give Prism everything there is to know about criminal psychology, about the state's crime record, population statistics, social and economic demographics, and it will extrapolate with uncanny accuracy the long-term results of such a policy change. Want to know what might happen if we were to legalize cocaine? Repeal Roe versus Wade? Elect a gay president? So long as the raw data is comprehensive enough, Prism will tell you exactly what our nation will look like 5, 10, 20 years from now. We have, in effect, created a time machine.
Fullerton is astonished. Perelman finds it hard to contain his pride as his guest stares at Prism in amazement.
This is unbelievable.
But I know what you're thinking. Can it tell you who's going to win the World Series? The answer is yes. In fact, we recently had to let a lab assistant go, after we discovered he had been feeding Prism every recorded baseball statistic since 1908.
This really works?
Oh, absolutely. The results of the tests we've run so far have been extremely encouraging. We're constantly evolving its program, although Prism is nowhere near operational capacity at this stage.
How long until it's really working?
Well, the purely analytical subsystems are fully functional right now, and in fact we're already putting them to good use. This is an incredibly expensive enterprise, of course, even for someone like Senator Ryder, so we lease out our processor time all over the world. CT, NASA, AT&T, the Dow Jones and the World Bank all use Prism, even the US government. But as for our real goal, right now we're estimating about 12 more years before we're really ready to go.
Fullerton is taken aback.
12 years?
In some ways Prism is incredibly fast. In others it's very slow. As I said, the way in which it digests information is akin to the human learning process. Its program needs to reach a certain level of, how shall I put it, maturity, before it's able to fulfill its potential. Believe me, the results will be worth waiting for.
A thought occurs to Fullerton. He does a quick calculation.
12 years from now? That'll be
around the time your boss is planning to run for president. I believe his plan is to unveil Prism during his campaign. We're entering a new age, Mr. Fullerton. An age in which politicians, well, Senator Ryder at least, will no longer simply make vague promises about change for the better. He'll be able to guarantee it.
Exterior University campus, evening. Storm clouds growl overhead as a luxurious Mercedes-Benz pulls out of the university gates and drives away. Interior Mercedes, evening. Perriman is behind the wheel. It begins to rain, hard. Perriman switches on the wipers. Exterior country road, evening. The Mercedes drives on, through the rain. Eventually it comes to a stop at the side of the road. On the other side is a driveway flanked by an open pair of iron gates. Interior Mercedes, evening. Perriman sits in the car, engines still running, wipers still thudding against the windshield. He is pensive, lost in some sad,